right, so we're diving into something today that I think a lot of people only ever see on TV,
Yeah.
prison officer careers. And you've given me a whole bunch of
Yeah.
RoleCatcher stuff. You've got their career guide, and just looking through it, I got to say, I'm kind of surprised by some of this.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think what I found really fascinating was how it kind of goes against the stereotype of just, the guard behind bars. RoleCatcher really emphasizes this duality of the profession where you're not just there for security, but also for rehabilitation.
It's like a balance. You're
Yeah.
trying to do both at the same time.
It is. It is a balance, and it's a tough one, right? Because you are dealing with people who have, broken the law, and yet the job also demands that you approach them with empathy and understanding. Like you need to be able to enforce the rules strictly, of course, but also like understand where they're coming from. See, that's so interesting to me because I think, if you ask most people, they're going to say, "Oh, prison officer, tough." But this guide really highlights things like conflict resolution, even psychology knowledge, which
Cool.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah. No, it's not just about being tough, right? It's about having the knowledge and the skills to actually work with this population. And the guide, it really dives into how crucial it is for prison officers to understand, criminal justice, human behavior.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's about public safety, but in a way that most people don't really think about. It's not just about locking people up, but understanding why they ended up there, and maybe even working to prevent that from happening again.
So you're almost like, how do we work with this person so they don't end up back here?
Exactly. It's like, how do we break that cycle?
See, now that's really interesting because now it's not just a job. It's like,
how do we actually help this person? Which is a whole other layer to the job. But speaking of, the guide actually lays out the entire career path from when you start entry level all the way up to the top chief prison officer.
yeah, you could be running the whole show,
You
basically.
could be running a small city by that point, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it's not just about climbing the ladder either. They talk about all these different specializations you can get into. So they highlight things like correctional officer certification, crisis intervention training,
Right.
even firearms training, depending on, where you're working, what you're doing. So it seems like you could really build a whole career in this field.
So if you're the type of person who always wants to be learning new things, new skills,
Absolutely.
yeah, this is perfect. But gotta say, it's got to be stressful.
Definitely not for the faint of heart. They actually don't really sugarcoat it. Like they talk about the high stress, the long hours, the fact that you could be in potentially dangerous situations. I mean, it's a tough job, no question about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with a population that's often going through very difficult things themselves.
Of course, yeah.
So it's got to be,
It's not easy.
yeah, it's not easy, but I imagine there's also like a real profound sense of purpose, what you're actually making with
It comes across really strongly in the guide, yeah. They talk about the impact you can have on individual lives, like
Yeah.
literally, and also the contribution to community safety. It's like
Yeah.
you're part of something bigger. You're a force for positive change in a system that honestly really needs it.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. But let's get practical for a second.
Okay, yeah.
How does RoleCatcher actually help someone get a job? Like, if I'm interested, where do I start?
Right, right. Well, this is where their whole AI technology comes in, and it's pretty amazing, honestly. It's like having a career coach in your pocket. So they use AI to do things like analyze job descriptions, help you tailor your resume so that it actually highlights the skills that employers are looking for. They even have this thing where you can practice interview questions and get feedback from AI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like, you're not going in blind anymore.
So it's like they've gamified the whole
In a way, yeah.
the whole job hunting process.
Exactly.
Which I think, especially for a lot of people, that can be the scariest part, right?
Absolutely.
Like, oh, what am I going to say in an interview? But if you've got that AI feedback, it's like,
It takes the guesswork out.
yeah, it's like doing practice runs.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not just throwing your resume out there into the void and hoping for the best. RoleCatcher helps you understand what employers are actually looking for, and then it gives you the tools to present yourself in the best possible light. It really levels the playing field, especially in a job market as competitive as this one.
And it's not just helping you find any job, right?
Yeah.
They actually connect you with employers We're looking for someone with your specific skills.
Yeah, it's true. They've got this whole feature where employers can actually like search their database of
Oh,
candidates.
wow.
And, they're looking for those certifications, right?
Yeah.
Like that crisis intervention training, those are the things that are going to make you stand out. It's almost like they flip the script,
Yeah.
Instead of you chasing after jobs, the jobs are coming to you.
Okay, now that changes things.
Right.
Because now it's like, okay, I've got these skills. They're valuable. People want them.
Exactly.
But we've talked a lot about these skills, these certifications.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about, like, the human element of this job.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's one thing to, tick all the boxes on a resume, but it takes a certain type of person, I imagine, to really excel at this, to really want to do this. So what does RoleCatcher say about that? Like, what kind of person actually thrives in an environment like that?
So they don't like explicitly come out and say, you need to be this personality type.
Right.
But I think reading between the lines, it's pretty clear what they're looking for. They're emphasizing things like resilience, obviously, empathy is huge, and also that commitment to both security and rehabilitation.
Right, because you can't just be all about one. You've got to have both.
Exactly. You need that balance. And those aren't really skills that you can just like learn overnight,
Right. These are like they're
deeper
qualities.
Yeah, they're values.
Values, exactly.
Makes you think about the why behind it all,
The why, yeah.
Like, why would somebody choose this path? What is it that really drives them? It's got to be more than just a paycheck.
Yeah, it's got to be. Because you're right. I mean, you could probably find other jobs that maybe have some of these things. But this one, it's almost like...
It's a calling.
Yeah, like it chooses you in a way.
I think that's a really good way to put it. And I think the guide kind of hints at that. There's this underlying theme of like making a difference, right?
Right.
Contributing to a safer community, helping individuals turn their lives around. Like those are powerful motivators.
Yeah.
And I think for people who are drawn to this kind of work, it's not just about the job itself. It's about being part of something bigger.
It's about that impact. And it's almost like you have to be okay with, I don't know if uncomfortable is the right word, but you have to be okay with working in an environment that's challenging.
Absolutely.
Where the stakes are high.
Yeah. You're dealing with, people's lives, essentially. And the decisions you make, the way you interact with people, it can have a real impact, for better or for worse. And I think that's something that the guide emphasizes is like, this is serious stuff.
And it's not just about what happens inside the prison.
Right, exactly.
It's like you're also thinking about like the bigger picture of the criminal justice system.
Absolutely. And that was something that really stood out to me too, is how they talk about the importance of understanding the system as a whole.
Yeah.
It's not just about, working within the system, but it's about advocating for change, for improvement, right?
So it's almost like you have to be like ready to fight for what's right, even within like a system that maybe has its flaws.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the system isn't perfect and that there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And that requires a certain level of, awareness, I guess.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, self-awareness, exactly.
Like being able to look yourself and say, okay, what are my biases? What are my like preconceived notions coming into this?
Are you bringing your own baggage to this?
Yeah.
And how is that going to affect the way you do your job? It's not an easy job. It's not for everyone.
No.
But I think for the people who are drawn to it, who are really passionate about it, it can be incredibly rewarding.
So we've talked a lot about like the demands, right? The challenges, the skills. What about the rewards? Like what are the things that make this like a fulfilling career path?
Yeah. So aside from those like intrinsic rewards, right?
Right.
The ones we've already talked about, like feeling like you're making a difference.
Having a purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Making that tangible change.
There's also the potential for growth, for advancement. Like you can actually build a career here.
So you're saying like I could start.
Yeah, you could start.
And I could work my way up.
Absolutely.
And maybe one day I'm the warden.
You could be the warden, exactly. Or you could specialize in something, Like maybe you become the go-to person for crisis intervention.
Oh, interesting.
Or maybe you're developing rehabilitation programs.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of different directions you can go in. And I think that's exciting for people who are, ambitious, who really want to make their mark. And let's not forget about, the job security.
No, it's true.
This is a career path where like you're going to have a job,
Right. It's stable.
It's stable. It's reliable.
There's benefits.
There are benefits, exactly. And I think in this economy, you can't really underestimate the value of that.
No, not at all. And that's something that people are really looking for right now.
Absolutely.
Security, stability.
Yeah, they want to know that they can provide for themselves, provide for their families,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a career path that offers that.
It's true. And you know what? It seems like RoleCatcher gets that. They're not just trying to like fill these slots. They want people to actually be happy in these roles.
Yeah, it's about finding the right fit.
Right. Finding the right fit.
It's not just a job, it's a career.
It's a career. And
Yeah.
it should be something that you want to do, right? Like this is your life, this is your work, so
And that's something we haven't really touched on yet, I guess, is like the personal fulfillment side of it.
yeah, the personal side.
Like, what are the moments where somebody in this role is going to be like, yes, this is why I do this?
I imagine like if you see someone who, maybe they were in prison, they serve their sentence and then they get out and they actually like turn their life around.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I was a part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's got to feel pretty good.
They talk about that in the guide, actually.
Okay.
Like how officers, they build these relationships with the inmates sometimes, they become almost like mentors or positive role models. And you can imagine like helping somebody break free from that cycle of going back to prison,
Yeah.
like guiding them towards something better. I mean,
It's like you've really changed someone's life.
for the better.
That's got to be incredibly rewarding,
Yeah.
to see that kind of transformation.
Yeah. And it's not always easy, right? Like we've talked about, there's challenges, it's stressful.
Absolutely.
But those moments where you actually,
Where you see the impact, you see it, you see the good.
yeah, where it clicks.
That's got to keep you going.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting, right?
Yeah.
We've gone beyond just like the surface level, the stereotypes.
Right, because everybody thinks they know
Everybody thinks they know
what it's about.
but we've actually like gotten to the heart of it, What does it really mean to be a prison officer?
And it's a lot more than I think a lot of people realize.
It is.
It's, like you said, it's not just about, locking people up. It's
Understanding.
It's about understanding, working with people.
Being a mentor, being a guardian in a way.
Yeah.
Being a force for positive change in a system that, frankly, really needs it,
And for anyone listening who's thinking, maybe this is for me.
Yeah.
We've talked about the how.
Mhm.
We've talked about the skills, the certifications, all that stuff.
Yeah, we've gone deep on the how-to.
But the why is really important.
The why is crucial.
Like, why are you doing this? What do you want to get out of this?
What impact do you want to have on the world?
Exactly.
Are you ready for a challenge?
Because it's going to be a challenge.
It is.
But it's also incredibly rewarding. And
If you're looking for a career that's both demanding and fulfilling, I mean,
this could be it.
this could be it.
So do your research, use those resources from RoleCatcher, and who knows, maybe this deep dive was just the first step on your journey to a really meaningful career.
Couldn't have said it better myself.